Welcome back to Afri-CAN. Today, the podcast is about what it takes to become a development innovator, because innovation is ultimately about exceptional individuals and how they engage with their environment and its opportunities. I want to give you an insight into the way that education can prepare someone for innovation and into what it is that makes an innovator exceptional. So to illustrate this, I've invited Kidus Asfaw, CEO and co-founder of Kubik, a company which Pharo Foundation has nominated for the Earthshot Prize. And clearly our decision illustrates how much we value Kidus's climate change solution. Kidus is an Ethiopian entrepreneur who graduated from Duke University with a bachelor's degree in biomedical and electrical engineering. He is also a graduate of Princeton University, where he completed a master's in public affairs, development economics, and international affairs. Last year, Time magazine listed him as one of the 100 most influential leaders in climate, and you will soon understand why. In 2021, Kidus co-founded Kubik, a company which gives a second life to hard-to-recycle plastic waste by turning it into low-cost and low-carbon building materials. Its ambition is to promote dignity through the construction of clean and affordable buildings for everyone and for every purpose. Indeed, the materials can be used to build schools, clinics, warehouses, and homes. In 2023, Kubik became one of the 2 winners of the Global Startup Awards out of 120 tech companies from 115 countries. But before founding Kubik, Kidus worked for UNICEF in Uganda as the product manager of his Global Innovation Center, and then as head of technology and innovation partnerships. He has also worked in several other institutions such as Accenture and the World Bank. Now, Kidus embodies everything that we believe in at Pharo Foundation. He is a young innovator, an exceptionally talented entrepreneur and scientist who is also endowed with an exceptional commitment to environmental and social justice. While some people spend their whole lives wondering what they should be doing with themselves, he has a clarity of purpose and drive, which most people die without. And if our Pharo schools are all about empowering young Africans to achieve STEM careers, Kidus can be their model. This is why I have also invited Helen Tekalign today, Pharo School Assosa's very own female version of a young Kidus, we hope. Helen is in 8th grade and has won multiple science competitions at regional level in Ethiopia and came 3rd in the National STEM Synergy competition amongst 211 projects for the Pharo School Assosa website, which she designed. In many ways, her perseverance echoes Kidus's determination. So I can only imagine the great things that she is destined for when she leaves our school. So if we go back to Kidus to begin with, there are 3 aspects of his life and work that I want to delve into. The first one is his education and why he chose STEM. The second one is the nature of his innovation. And the third is what it took for him to commercialize his innovation. So Kidus, if we start with you, could you please run us through how you ended up building your business, starting from your beginnings at school, and if you can mention how the opportunities opened by education were catalyzed into your life trajectory, really.
Well, first off, thanks so much for having me, Francesca and Helen. I'm a very big fan and very proud of the achievements that you've had. I don't think I've done that much in 8th grade, so congratulations to you. Many more to come. So I grew up in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, born to a mother who was a flight attendant, who was always traveling the world, and a father who had reinvented his life many times over, from being a public servant to being a sociology professor, and then being a farmer. Very, very different career paths. Now, the one thing that I always tell people is, first off, I was born lucky. I was born to parents that valued education, that believed that their investment in their children comes through a form of investing in their education. So, because of that, I had an upbringing that was focused on parents who did everything possible to put me into institutions that mattered. Now, one of the things that my parents quickly realized is I used to love to tinker a lot. I remember just finding random electric wires and trying to see what happens if I put batteries on it, or what happens if I put my tongue on the battery. So I was a bit of a troublemaker on that front. But if I reflect back on something that really changed my life was my parents buying a secondhand computer, a desktop computer that Helen probably has never heard of, because it was several decades ago. And during this time, I remember it having a little lock, and this lock was meant to be a way of making sure that I wasn't always on it. But I would always try to find ways of finding that key or rigging my way into opening that computer. Um, I remember being one of the first kids that ever wrote a school report on Microsoft Word. I remember looking at something called Microsoft DOS, which was a programming language, and trying to see what I could do. So my fascination for technology, for the opportunities it could bring, started very early on. Now, when it comes to why I went into STEM, I think it had to do with a lot of interesting things, but I'll just focus on two. First was just the purity and objective way of thinking through science and math. Uh, there's the saying that numbers don't lie, all right? So there's something that was very honest and very clear that I can guide my thinking around, which I really loved. But outside of that, I remember my uncle coming to the house one day and he was just talking about hydroelectricity. I had no clue of what that was, but all he said is, imagine if water can make every city light up. And I became super, super fascinated by it. And I just decided right there and then I'm going to be a hydroelectric engineer. Um, that never panned out, but it did set a course for what I wanted to do, which was engineering. Um, like you mentioned, Francesca, I had an opportunity of attending a university that was focused on engineering. I had an opportunity to develop the discipline of critical thinking about navigating very complex problems, and I really loved that. And that also introduced me to the world of software engineering, where I had a chance to work at Google and work on the predecessor of what's now called Google Translate. And that also opened up another fascination, which was the world of languages and culture and how this world is bound by that communication. But to cut a long story short, there was something that my father had said when he dropped me off at college, which was, we've done everything to get you here. Now you have to do everything to get others even further. And this sentiment of giving back, contributing to a community that raised me, which I have many stories around, and finding a way of giving other people purpose was something that was really ingrained in me, and that led me to working at institutions such as UNICEF and the World Bank, where the primary objective was give opportunities to those that yet don't have it, and I did that in my own way through technology. Now, coming to how I started Kubik, um, I never knew anything about trash. I knew nothing about construction. I was not a civil engineer, but I knew about something, which was when you see a problem that is very complex, affecting many millions of lives, then there's something that we can do about it. And it just starts from taking that first step. My first step was, being in UNICEF and working with a mentor of mine on a project where we would simply buy plastic waste from mothers in a landfill in Abidjan in the Ivory Coast. and turning it into bricks that can make affordable schools. And that crazy idea turned into a movement in UNICEF where we were able to build over 500 classrooms in a span of 2 years. And that was eye-opening for me. And I realized if we were able to do this small thing in a very big way, how about if I dedicated my life to doing more of it and starting at home? And that was the genesis of Kubik.
I see. So your actual path into, the world of the entrepreneur, in a sense, started in a very different environment then, which was, an international organization. Fascinating. And climate change per se, how did you kind of, go into that particular area?
I don't know. It just happened, as many things go. But I'm a father of 3 kids, and these are kids that I constantly worry about for their future, that I want to do something for. And like any parent, you do your best. But I started to think about what is their future going to look like, even if they were successful. And it looked very dim because uh, it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, you can't control the weather. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are, you're going to be around inequality. And that is not the world that I imagine for my kids. And climate change was something that was very big, very complex. Nobody really knows where to start to solve it. But here was a project that, I started, and a company that now I founded that had a way to contribute. And the way that we did that was by understanding that 42% of climate change is contributed from real estate, meaning from how we build, through how we make building materials. And that was a very big enough number to say, if I can put a dent on that industry, I've done a very big thing. And uh, I always check myself with my kids to see if I'm on the right track. I remember my son telling me, "Why are you only doing these small houses? Why don't you build skyscrapers?" And I asked him why. He said, "If you can build even higher, the more problems you're solving." And that is just the ingenuity and the boldness that children and young people like Helen have to even think bigger than what we start.
Beautiful. Um, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you're doing at Kubik and some key projects that maybe you want to highlight?
For sure. So Kubik is based in Ethiopia. What we do is work with cities in reducing the waste that has to go into landfills. And the sad thing about landfills is it's not just an empty place. It is actually a thriving community of people who either live there or look for materials that they can resell. Um, they're typically not doing well in life. They're exposed to very harmful things. And what we do is turn them into what people think of desperate scavengers into actual suppliers and entrepreneurs. We buy plastic from them. We give them rates that can improve their lives. And we turn that into building materials. So think of a wall and everything that goes into that wall. And we can make that from trash. And then we sell it to builders who are making anything from a house to a school to a clinic or a toilet or a factory. And what we focused on was seeing how, as a business, we can create an incentive for a sector like real estate to be buying something that is actually less harmful and that can really transform that industry. Um, there's many projects we work on, but the one that I'm very excited about and always talk about is a library that we're building in Harar, which is a city east in Ethiopia. We were able to get a lot of amazing people together to really reimagine what a safe space for children can look like and give them the opportunity to come to that place for free and learn, innovate, play, And we're doing that using trash. And the beautiful thing about Harar is that's also where one of our largest operations is. We have been able to empower over 500 women that give us trash, and we're able to convert that into a place like this library. And I'm really hoping that that serves as a source of inspiration for other entrepreneurs, for city managers, even for philanthropists to really rethink what it means to do good. And it goes beyond just building a place or giving a service. It also has to do with how you're changing a problem into a solution.
Mind blowing. Wow. Love it. So one last question, specifically for you, Kidus, I guess is on, how you commercialize an innovation once you've come up with the concept. I'm just curious, what challenges you encounter really as an entrepreneur in terms of commercializing your ideas.
Many, and it happens on a daily basis. uh, every team member that joins Kubik, I always tell them, don't forget you're in a startup. Meaning there'll be 3 times in a day where you believe this will be the most successful company in the world, but there will also be 3 times in that same day where you think this will fail. And that's just because you're doing something new. Nobody has done it before. So there's a lot to learn and a lot of places to fail. And the greatest advice that I got around being an entrepreneur is it's not learned, it's experienced. And as long as you have the tolerance for enduring pain, confusion, complexity, and you're able to find that bright spot that you can continue to drive around, that's what makes you an entrepreneur. So in our case, we've been through everything from, that first dreadful email I had to start after leaving my UNICEF job to people and saying, "Hey, I'm looking for funding to start a company," and seeing how hard it is to raise money, all the way to realizing that your factory isn't working the way that you imagined it and having to tweak problems there. And then, of course, once you've done all of that, making sure that you can grow your business. And in our case, growing the ways that people will be able to buy our product. So commercialization, to your question, Francesca, is an art and a science at the same time. It's about understanding what people want and understanding at what price they're willing to buy it at, and seeing if that makes sense for all of the money you've spent to make that happen. And that is very dynamic. Think about in Ethiopia where prices change, there's currency fluctuations, there's different hiccups that you have. You can never predict those. And it was really important that my team was always thinking about how we are able to navigate unforeseen challenges on a daily basis. And that has been the secret ingredient for being to where we are right now.
Absolutely, yeah. You need to be really resilient and flexible in that process. I can very much see that. Okay, so Helen, on your side, I'd love to hear a little bit your reactions to Kidus, and maybe if we can start by you telling us how you yourself got into STEM, and tell us a little bit about the work you've done in the web and app design, and then finally you can tell us what your greatest dream is. Nothing less.
Yeah, okay, good. First of all, I would just like to say thank you very much for this opportunity because this is my first like ever client to actually have some kind of a Zoom meeting, and I'm a bit nervous, but I'm actually very grateful and I'm very happy to be here. And for Idris, this is actually my first time meeting you, but I tried to do some kind of research at home and I've actually found out about your company, and I was like extremely shocked by this kind of idea because you know from where I'm from, such kinds of ideas, especially in the region of Spain, is not like that much known. and it was quite literally surprising. And I'm amazed, and I'm very happy to be having this kind of conversation with you. And secondly, well, just as an introduction, I started STEM at the age level, I mean, at the grade level of grade 4. I just started at grade 4, and I started to do different kinds of things. And the first thing that I've created at grade 4 was, it was a little bit of a software thing. It was just like software where kids could make games instead of playing games. And then I got into a regional competition at grade 4, and I won first place. And I was awarded 5,000 birr, and it was kind of very motivating to actually help me grow more and to continue what I was doing at that time. And at grade 5, I also continued, and I also made another website which was based on some kind of, the things that actually could introduce us to the environment of Assosa, which is a region in Ethiopia. And it just came to the grade level of grade 7, where everything really started to take like, really deep, outtake. The first thing that when I was in grade 7 this last year, I was able to participate in the national science and technology competition, which I got the third place, and I was rewarded a tablet, and it was very, very heartwarming. It was very kind of emotional. Looking back to where I started from, so it's just like where I've actually started from in the past. So thank you very much.
Super. Oh, very, very, very encouraging stories to hear, Helen. Um, in terms of what you've heard today, from Kidus, is there anything in particular that you would like to ask him, from where you're at this point in your life, in terms of his own experience and trajectory? Is there any question specifically that you might have for him?
Well, my question for Kidus could be like, I know that as an entrepreneur, there are going to be lots of different problems, that he's going to face or he faced before. So I just would like to know what were those problems, Maybe I don't know. I might become an entrepreneur myself in the future based on the STEAM category, but I just want to know, like, what kind of problems did you face and what kind of measurements did you take to actually like solve those problems? I would love to know that. So thank you.
Thanks, Helen. You're very inspiring. By the way, I'm in awe with everything that you've done. Look, I would say a lot of the challenges that I faced is more within myself versus around me, right? I would say the first one is confidence, right? To do anything very bold, you have to feel confident in it. You have to believe in yourself in it. And there were moments where I have felt I may not be good enough, or I may never be able to achieve this. And a lot of people stop doing things that are bold because they're not able to overcome them. So I would say that the most important thing has always been to believe enough in yourself that you can at least try. I remember when I started Kubik, I had a good job with a stable salary, and I'm raising 3 kids. And I was about to start something where I have no money, no income, right? With a business that may or may not work. And I remember even seeing some statistic that said 90% of startups fail. So I'm sure you're going to learn statistics, Helen. You know that that's a very high probability. So I asked myself a very different question. Instead of asking myself, am I going to succeed? I started to ask myself, will it be worth it to me even if I fail? Right? It was really important for me to feel comfortable to fail, because failure is not an end point. It's part of the journey. So that really helped me believe in myself, to have confidence to try, and not be scared if it didn't work out. So I would say that's the one thing that I've always, even beyond being an entrepreneur, had to face. I would say the second thing is when you are a smart and analytical person like you are, you want everything to fall in place. You want everything to make sense. But the world typically does not make sense. Life will throw at you things that just don't fall into place, right? And you need to know how to deal with that. In my case, there was moments where I said, but why is this happening? Like, why is it that the cost that I thought it will take to run this company becoming higher? Like, it doesn't make sense. But as an engineer, we actually have really strong superpower, which is not trying to solve everything all at once, right? When you do a math problem set, you're always having to go step by step to get to the solution, right? In the same way, that's life. You don't try to solve everything at the same time. You just start somewhere and slowly but surely understand and grow until you get into having a solution. So it was really important for me as well to always remember that. There will be things that are vague, that are very complicated. You're wondering, should I be doing this? Because nobody else succeeded. So what makes me special to do it? But that's the wrong question. The question is there a starting point that I can start exploring and see if I can build up from there? And I would really leverage your superpower because you've built websites. You know how easy it's not that easy to do when you're doing it for the first time, but you started somewhere, right? So I would say those are the two main challenges that I'm always faced with. But as long as I feel there's a way to believe in myself, feel okay to fail, and always have a starting point for a solution, nothing is impossible.
Do you want to respond to that, Helen? Or
I mean, that was very good. I mean, that was like very excellent. There are not like much people that I could get such kind of advice from, especially where I'm from. It is a very primitive region in Ethiopia. So I'm very grateful. And I would like to say like thank you. That was great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, and again, remember you're doing an incredible, incredible job for where you are. And all I could tell you is don't stop, because there will always be 100 reasons why you shouldn't do something, but it's good enough just to have that one reason to believe in yourself and continue.
absolutely. That is, that is the essence, I think, of innovation and development. Absolutely. Wow. I mean, and I'm close to tears. This was absolutely beautiful. It's a great privilege to be able to listen to all of this wisdom from both of you. Very, very inspiring. So thank you so much. I think it's going to be very difficult for us to have quite as strong a next episode on our podcast, especially as we're talking about impact assessments, which is a different kind of subject, but equally important from a scientific perspective. But yeah, this was really special. So thank you so much to both of you, really. Take care. Thanks. Bye bye.